Does homemaking feel more like a burden than it does a blessing? If that is the case, then today I want to share with you some things from my heart that have really encouraged me over the past 15, almost 16 years being a homemaker. I've got lots of good stuff in store for you today. So, welcome back to the podcast. My name is Emily. I am a homemaker. I've been a homemaker for about 16 years now. And really, I've gone through different phases of homemaking. And I used to kind of think that homemakers were just stay-at-home moms, and that was just the equivalent. But what I've learned over the past years is that actually I was a homemaker even before I was a stay-at-home mom. Because homemaking, it's more than just cleaning and cooking and caring for children. And sometimes it isn't caring for children even, but it's creating a home. So anyone who has a home that is caring for it is a homemaker, because they are literally making a home for themselves and for their families and the people who live with them. So it's really one of the most important jobs that you and I will ever have, even though we don't actually get a paycheck for it. But it can often feel almost kind of underwhelming, and it can be easy to not feel motivated to do a lot of these homemaking tasks. And the truth is that you and I, we could hire a cleaner, we could hire someone to come in and cook our food for us, but that person is not actually a homemaker. That is just someone that is hired out to do something. Most likely, if you're watching this, you don't have someone who comes in and cleans for you or cooks for you, just like I don't. But what I've realized is that there is so much more behind the acts of washing the dishes or folding the laundry or preparing a meal. And it is really what is the reason for all of those things. And the reason is that we are creating homes that for our families to feel safe, to feel loved, to feel comfortable in. Anyone can come and clean my house, but only I can clean my house for my family in a way that I know why I'm doing it. That's really what has motivated me over the past, I would say about 10 years is when it really hit me that there are reasons behind all of the tasks that I find as a burden. So just kind of a backstory. When I first got married, I did most of the homemaking tasks. My husband did a few of them, but I also wasn't working super full-time. I was a teacher, and so I had summers off. My days weren't as long as my husband's, and so I did a lot of the homemaking tasks. Also, that's where I am gifted as a woman to do those kinds of things. I did them, but I did them very grudgingly, and I did not enjoy any of it. And I kind of just would wait until the weekend to get everything done. I would just let the dishes pile up. I would let the laundry pile up. I wouldn't clean my house at all during the week. And then finally Saturday morning would come, and I would spend a couple of hours rushing through the house, getting all this housework done. And I was complaining about it the entire time. If I made dinner, which I didn't do it very often, we ate out a lot or had just like easy frozen dinners. I, again, had a terrible attitude about that because I didn't understand the importance of making a home for me and for my husband. Then when I became a stay-at-home mom and I thought that, oh, well, now I am a homemaker, like full-time, that is just my role. I thought, oh my goodness, this is terrible. And it took me a while to really decide that I was going to embrace homemaking and really think about the reasons why I was doing what I was doing, why I was choosing to be a homemaker. That was really kind of the turning point for me. I had a day when I was just feeling miserable about myself, and I had looked at myself in the mirror, and I just saw how sad I had become and how I looked, and I thought, I cannot keep doing this. I have got to figure out a way to really enjoy taking care of my home and taking care of my family. And that was the turning point. And so from there, I just worked really hard on some things in my own heart and my own mind. And that really was a lot of it, was just changing my attitude. And that made a huge difference. And now I can say that I love homemaking, and I probably have for the past 9 years. But it took a while for me to kind of figure that out. The main thing that really helped me was understanding the reasons why I choose to create a home for my family. And this applies to anyone, whether you work outside the home or inside the home, If you are working part-time, or if you work, part-time from home, if you're a homeschool mom, whatever it might be, I have gone through different phases, but my main priority has always been my home and taking care of my home and running it, managing my home. And I really had to get very specific about why are the reasons that I take care of my home. And so I actually got out a piece of paper and I started writing them down. And I would encourage you to do the same thing, especially if you are really feeling the burden of homemaking. Then I want you to really think about, well, why is it that you clean the floors? Why do you make it a priority to go grocery shopping when you don't feel like facing the crowds, or making dinner and it might take you an hour to make, and they finish eating it in less than 10 minutes? But why do you do those things? For me, I came up with 4 just main kind of general reasons that really get to the heart of the matter. And the first one is, as a Christian, I choose to be a homemaker because it glorifies God. And I really was convicted of this when I read the verse from Ecclesiastes 9 verse 10, which says that whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all of your strength, all of your might. And I was kind of, ho-humming about being a homemaker because I thought, who cares about sweeping the floor? That's such a mundane task. And doing the dishes, what's so big about that? But what I realize is, even though it seems small, like a small task, or it doesn't seem very important, and I'm not getting a paycheck for it, it still was something that I needed to do with all of my might, because God tells me that whatever my hand finds to do, which as a homemaker, your hands do a lot of things, I had to do it with all of my strength, all of my might, and I needed to do it to honor and glorify God. That right there was just like life-changing for me and a very, very important thing. So that was my first reason. My second reason is that homemaking is a way to show my family that they are important to me. And so I think a lot of times in this day and age, we really are self-focused. We're doing things that make ourselves happy in the moment and what's right for me, and I'm gonna prioritize myself. And of course, I believe that self-care is super important. It's one of the very important aspects of being a homemaker, so that you can care for your home and family. You need to first care for yourself, but not to a point where it's like, oh, I'm too good, or I don't have the energy to make supper tonight or clean the bathrooms or whatever it is, because it's not for me. Or you'd rather sit on the couch and not go and do those things. So for me, I have chosen to make my family a priority and make sure that they know that I care about them, because I care for our home. Because this is the home that we all share. We all live in it. And it's important for them to know that I do all of these different tasks around the home because I'm caring for them. I'm caring for my family. And vice versa, I expect them to also do some things around the house too, and to help me out. And I will say that, we're a family here. This is our home. We're going to take care of it together. And that really, I'm setting the example for my kids, and then they can also learn those good life habits and skills of helping clean up the kitchen after dinner, or helping with the laundry and things like that, because I'm setting the example that family is important and our home is important. Another reason why I choose to be a homemaker is simply because it is a way to provide comfort to my family from this often difficult world. So we live in a world that is full of sinful people and just things that happen in our world that are not safe, things that happen in our world that are not good and lovely. I want my home to be the opposite of that. I want my home to be full of kindness and kind words and love. I want my home to feel comfortable. When people walk in the door, they shouldn't be greeted by a mess or dirty floors. I want them to be able to just sit down and relax and be able to feel good in the space that they are in. Part of that is simply cleaning and cooking. And then another part of that is my attitude. As a homemaker, part of our job is to affect the overall feeling and atmosphere in our homes. And so that is another reason why I choose to make homemaking a priority, is because I want my family to feel safe in our home. And then the final reason that I wrote down is that I want our guests to feel comfortable as well. So we have people outside of our family that come into our home on a regular basis, and I want them to also feel like our home is a retreat and a welcoming place, a welcoming space. And I know I don't do as great of a job as I probably should as inviting people over. I think we probably all hope or wish that we would do it more often, but when I do have guests over, I really want them to just know that this is a safe place as well, just like my family. I want them to know this is a safe and comfortable place, and I want my guests to feel that way as well. I know that as a guest personally, like when I've been to other people's homes, there are different feelings that you get in different homes. And if a home is not well cared for and not clean, or there's not much thought put into the meal, it can feel almost like you are the burden as the guest. And I don't ever want my guest to feel that way. And I want just my home to be a place where people feel like they can come and be themselves and be rejuvenated by being here. Knowing those why reasons, just general why reasons for homemaking, has been really important for me. But then I had to get even more particular on my why reasons for certain things, because there are certain homemaking tasks that I just never really fully embraced and never really fully loved. And so I had to get really specific about why I do those things. I love the quote by Mother Teresa that says that you wash the plate not because it's dirty, but because you love the person who will use it next. And that is super, super important. And yes, we are washing the plate because it is dirty. And the person who's going to use it next needs a clean plate to eat off of. But there are so many more reasons that we wash dishes. Another area that I really struggled in was dusting. I hated to dust my home. Now I do it on a regular basis, but at the time I really had to think about, why is it that I dust? And so I got really specific and I wrote down some reasons why I choose to dust. And that is, number one, it's just overall better for our health, because inhaling that dust is not good for our health. Number two, I don't want to have to run my finger through dust when I'm, picking something up off of a table. Number three, I don't want to be embarrassed by the dust in my home when someone comes over. And that's just like really honest right there, but that's true. So I had to get really specific about that. And I would say, if you have a specific task that really is hard for you to get motivated to do, then write out some specific reasons why you need to do that task, whatever it is. And maybe it's cooking. And that was another one that I really struggled with, was I would wait until 5 o'clock in the evening, right? Half an hour before we were supposed to eat. And I would open up the refrigerator and I would just think, like, what am I supposed to make tonight? I had no plan. And it really took me some time to realize that making food for my family was really super important. And not only that, it's a privilege. It's a privilege to be able to make food for my family, because not every mother has the opportunity to prepare food because they don't have the resources. They may not have a home to do that in. Even just like washing the dishes, and remembering, hey, I have hot water that I get to use to clean my dishes. I have soap that I can use to clean my dishes. There are people around the world who don't have hot water, people who don't have soap to use. And so knowing that that is really a privilege totally changes my motivation when it comes to homemaking. So those are the things that really motivate me as a homemaker, just knowing my why. Why is it that I'm doing all of these things? I hope that that is encouraging to you as well. If you are feeling like homemaking is a burden, I would just encourage you to sit down with a pencil and a piece of paper and write out some of your reasons why you choose to prioritize homemaking. Because really, homemaking, yes, it's about the practical things that we do every single day, but it's also about the heart and the mind and the attitude that all goes behind it. And I talk to women all the time who struggle at home, who struggle with just completing these daily tasks. and just finding the motivation to keep going when it feels mundane, when it feels like no one really cares or no one notices. And I always encourage them to start with their why. Think about why is it that you are choosing to do each of these things. And also just remembering that it's a privilege to be able to care for our homes. And once you start there, you're going to notice that when your attitude and your heart change, then your actions will follow. It's a domino effect. And there are so many other things that we can do as homemakers, which I would love to share in other videos and other podcast episodes, which I probably will. But just start with your why today and think about reasons why it's a privilege to be a homemaker. I have a course, it's called the Motivated Homemaker. And if you would like to kind of expand on this and you feel like, you know what, homemaking does feel like a burden and I want it to be a blessing to me and to my family, then I would strongly encourage you to check out my course. And it is on sale this week, actually. But even if you're watching this video and it's not on sale, it's still absolutely worth the price. I kept it super low, and everyone who has taken it has loved my course. The things that are in that course are not necessarily earth-shattering. They're not like huge things that maybe you had never heard of before, but it is definitely life-changing, and it's super practical things that you can start doing today. All right, so that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.